All right, here we go with part 3, section 10.2. These are the answers to practice 4 on page 602. So the first one we have y to the 2/3 times y to the 8th. And since we're multiplying, we add those exponents straight across. So you should have gotten y to the 10/3. Good, the next one, again, y to the 3/5 times y to the x to the 3/5 times x to the 1/4. We're going to multiply these exponents. However, we have to have a common denominator, so change that to 20. So you end up with x to the 12/20 times x to the 5/20. Now you can add them straight across, x to the 17/20. All right, look at C. See, we're dividing. We have 9 to the 2/7 over 9 to the 9/7. So rewrite it, bringing your denominator exponent up. So you have 9 to the 2/7 minus 9/7. So on this one, you should get 9. I could have written another step in here. 2 minus 9 is negative 7/7, which is 9 to the -1, which is 1/9. Okay, moving on, we have b to the 4/9 times b to the -2/9. Okay, we're just adding straight across. They have common denominators, so we end up with b to the 2/9. All right, the last one, the long one. I'm not saying all this. We have this. All right, so first distribute your your exponent of 4. So you're going to distribute it to each section individually. So you're going to have 3 to the 4th. Then you're going to have x to the 1/4 to the 4th. Then you're going to have y to the -2/3 to the 4th. We just took this and distributed it. The bottom stays the same. The denominator stays the same. All right, now take each of these sections to the 4th power. So you're going to have 3 to the 4th, which is 81. Interesting, x just becomes x to the 1st because you have x to the 1/4 taken to the 4th power. So you're multiplying. So you end up with x to the 4/4. It becomes x to the 1st, or just x. Then for y, you have x to the -8/3. Moving on, next step. Bring what's on the bottom up. So we have 81 still, and we have x to the 1 minus 4. Okay? We brought that -4 up here, x to the 1 minus 4. Then you have x to the -8/3, which was already, or y to the -8/3, which was already here. Bring up this y to the 1st. So it's y to the -1. It's the -1 exponent you've brought up. But in order to make our common denominator, we're going to write it as -3/3. So now we're going to combine everything. So we have 81x to the 1 minus 4, which is -3. 81x to the -3. Combine your y exponents to get y to the -11/3. Now drop your negative exponents down to the denominator here for your final answer. 81 x to the 3rd, y to the 11/3. All right. Let's move on. Okay, moving on to example 5. We are multiplying things in parentheses. So we're going to have z to the 2/3, z to the 2/3, and we're going to multiply that times z to the 1/3 minus z to the 5th. All right. Okay, so what do we do first here? Well, the first thing you're going to do is distribute your z to the 2/3 just like you would distribute any other variable or coefficient. So you're going to end up with z to the 2/3, z to the 1/3 minus, now we're going to distribute it here to this one. So we're going to have z to the 2/3, z to the 5th. Okay, we've distributed The next thing you're going to do is combine your exponents. So this one's going to be nice and easy because they have the same denominator. We're going to have to change this one over here. So when we're multiplying exponents, same thing as always, just add them. 2 plus 1 is 3, so we have z to the 3 over 3. Now let's look at this one. We have to have a common denominator here. So let's see. We can make this 5 into thirds. That would be the easiest thing because this is really like saying z to the 5 over 1, right? So what is z to the 5 over 1? Well, it's 15. How do we change that into thirds? We take it to 15 thirds, right? That's 5, same as 5. Okay, so we're going to add them now. 2 and 15 gives us 17. Oops, forgot my z. Okay? All right. And what is this? Z to the 3 over 3. Let's go ahead and do that. That's just z, right? So z minus z to the 17 thirds. Okay, moving on to our next example, because this is as far as we can, let me box that. This is as far as we can take this one. So let's look at B. Now we're gonna have two things to distribute. So we have x to the 1/3 minus 5, okay? And over here we have x to the 1/3 plus 2. All right, so to me, this looks an awful lot like foiling, don't you think? Remember that good old foil? First, outside, inside, last. All right, so let's do that. Did I write all of this correctly? Yes, I did. Okay, so what is x to the 1/3 times x to the 1/3? So we're multiplying these, we're just adding those exponents. So we have x to the 2/3. All right, let's look at our outside. X to the 1/3 times 2, that just gives us 2x to the 1/3. How about our inside? -5 x to the 1/3. And how about our last? We have -5 times 2, which is -10. Okay, so I think we can combine a whole bunch of things now. Correct? Okay, so let's do that. What can we combine here that's the same? These two. Just like in regular foiling, because they have the same exponent, so they can be combined. All right, so we have x to the 2/3 plus, we have a, well, we shouldn't put that too preemptively. We have a +2 and a -5, so we're going to end up with a -3. Our exponents stay the same, -10, and there you go. All right, so go ahead, please, and press pause and try practice 5, A and B. All right. Practice 5, A and B answers. Okay, on the first one, we have x to the 3/5 times x to the 1/3 minus x squared. Okay, so we're just distributing, right? And when you multiply, you add exponents, so you end up with x to the 3. Wait, is this a 5? Hold on. Yes. Okay, so it is a 5. For a second, I thought it was a 3rd. Okay, so we're going to have a common denominator here. So let's go ahead and change those to common denominators. So we're going to change them to 15. So down here, if we change this one to 15, 5 times 3 is 15, so 3 times 3 is 9. And then we're going to have multiplying by 5 here, so you're going to have 5 over 15. And we don't need to do anything with that one. Okay, now let's try to do this. Okay, so we're distributing this, this x. So we're adding exponents when we multiply. So 9 and 5 is 14. So we have x to the 14 over 15 minus, okay, so x squared is like saying that it's 2 over 1, right? So if it's 2 over 1 and we need the same denominator, this would be like saying it's 30 over 15. So let's change that one, 30 over 15. So what do we get when we add these here? All right, so we're gonna get x to the 39 over 15. Okay, so we can go ahead and this is mixed. We can reduce this. It's all divisible by 3. So we're going to have x to the 14 over 15 minus, let's go ahead and reduce this. Divide by 3. So you get 13 over 5. So there you go. Final answer on that one. And let's look at B. For B we have, I'm going to erase so I have more room. Hey, May, go upstairs, please. All right, so for B, we have x to the 1/2. Plus 6. And we are multiplying that by x to the 1/2 minus 2. Go ask Maggie.
I can't.
You can. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to FOIL this. If it helps you to write it at the top, please do it. So we're multiplying x to the 1/2 times x to the 1/2. They have the same denominators, so you have just x, right? Because you have 2 over 2. No, you need to go out, baby. Wait till I'm finished with this video. All right, so let's look at our outside now. -2 times x to the 1/2. So we have minus 2x to the 1/2. How about our inside? Plus 6x to the 1/2. And our last is minus 12. All right, let's combine our like terms. We have x plus 4x to the 1/2 minus 12. That is it. All right, going on. Okay. Example 6. Just a couple more and we're done. All right, this one says, what are we doing here? Factor x, okay. All right, so it's asking you to factor x to the 1/2 from the expression 3x to the -1/2 minus 7x to the 5/2. Let's write that. So we have 3x to the -1/2. Okay. Minus 7x to the 5/2. 7x to the 5/2. Okay. And it says factor x to the -1/2 from that. We're factoring x to the -1/2. Okay, so what we're doing is we're pulling out x to the -1/2 from this. Okay, so let's just pull that out. X to the -1/2. What happens if we pull that out of here? We're left with a 3 here. What are we left with over here? Okay, so it doesn't change anything for the 7. But what happens if we take out 1/2 here? What are we left with on this one? if we're multiplying x to the negative 1/2, we would add these exponents here, okay? So we would be left with 6 over 2, which would give us 7x to the 3rd here. That's a 3. If we pulled this out. Hold on. Good grief. There we go. Okay, so let's try one. Well, it says that we can check. To check, multiply it back. All right, so let's do that. All right, so if we're going to multiply it back, all right, we would end up with 3x to the negative 1/2. If we distribute this one over here, how would we make this the same denominator as this? Okay, we would have to change this x to the 3rd. It would be 6 over 2, right? So it would change to 6 over 2. So then when we add this, we would have negative 1/2 like this. And 6 minus 1 would give us 5, and that would indeed take us back to this original equation. Okay, so let's try one. Try practice 6. It says factor x to the negative 1/5 from the following expression. So press pause and try that one, and I'm going to put it up here. X. All right, factoring x to negative 1/5. Okay. From the expression 2x to the 2x to the negative 1/5 minus 7x to the 4/5. 7x to the 4/5. Okay. So solution for this one, if we take out x to the negative 1/5, I'm going to pull that out. Okay. So it's like we're undistributing it. This is like the final distributed answer, and we want to put it back in the form where it needs to be distributed. So what would we have here? We would just have we would have a 2. That's something you can just easily see. How about this one? Okay, we would definitely have a 7 there. So what do we need to add back to this so that when we distribute this negative 1/5, we have something here? What would that be? It would be 7x to the 5/5, right? Because when we add this negative 1/5 to it, it would take us back to 4/5. The 5/5 is just 1. So we would just end like this. So then if we want to go back and check it, okay, so let's redistribute it to check our answer. We would have we would have 2x to the negative 1/5 minus, let's distribute it here, 7. Now we're just adding exponents. We would have to change this x to x to the 5/5 so that we could subtract the 1/5, and we would get 7x to the 4/5. Okay, so this would be your answer here. Okay, all right, almost finished.